Good afternoon, watchers out there in the wide world. I hope you're ready for a fantastic afternoon of Overwatch. This is, of course, the NUEL Live 2019. We are live with the Overwatch Grand Finals. Big Hungry Phil here alongside Chronicler. How's it going, Chronicler?
Well, this is not Big Sexy James.
No, not this time, I'm afraid. Not for this particular event. That's my alter ego.
No, I don't know what am I going to talk about now? The games, the prizes,
well, I mean, look,
the hype.
If you can just focus on the game for now. We'll talk about the whole Big Sexy James thing a little bit later on. Sorry, everyone. That's a bit of an inside joke. Come find me later and we'll explain it. But yes, we've got Underwatch, York University against Caledonian Chargers, and it is going to be a humdinger of a match.
I love the humdinger.
Humdinger.
I'm always learning these new words when I'm casting you, Phil. Absolutely amazing indeed. And I also like to look back at the journey that those two teams have had as they progressed through the bracket, because Underwatch, of course, are the two-time champions as of yet, and they're really the team to beat. They come into this final as a team that were able to win the last two splits, were able to beat out GCU specifically the last couple of times, and that means there's a lot of pressure on them as well.
Yeah, they've got to perform here, because not only have they got these expectations to live up to, but it's quite a prize they're playing for. This isn't get a headset, get some peripherals. This is a big prize.
So Phil, what is the prize?
So yeah, I was setting you up for that, but the
prize, I would like to say the prize
there
as well.
There is a VIP trip to Los Angeles to go and watch the Overwatch League live. So this is it's a big bundle. I was looking at doing
in
it
LA,
myself.
right?
In LA, in America, even.
You get a free. Oh man, yeah, we should. Oh no, I'm bad.
Yeah, guys, if you would like me to ring for you, I realise it's last minute and my name isn't on any of the paperwork, but just hit me up and we'll work something out. Yeah,
it's Big Sexy James and Chronicle.
Yeah,
you can find a way. Anyway, Phil. But it's not just Underwatch, of course. The challengers here today, and I don't say challengers because I think that we're going to have a lopsided matchup here, because it should be an incredibly close game. But the one who last time weren't able to quite make it against Underwatch, losing 3-2 in the playoff bracket, is of course GCU, the Caledonian Chargers here. And we're going to be looking at the rosters in just a little bit, but both of these two teams have very different playstyles.
Yeah. So Caledonian Chargers have played pretty much exclusively that triple tank, triple support lineup that we all know and love. We know as GOATs, and they're demonstrably very good at this. If you were to talk to any of these guys on this team, they would say to you, well, we don't think we are the most mechanically gifted necessarily. In fact, it's in all their little team briefs. They're very humble about it. But their teamwork and their understanding of how GOATs works is really top notch.
The interviews aren't humble though, because Cameron has been caught saying that this is going to be an easy throw, and if we don't, then it's because we're trolling.
Well, I mean, both teams have said to us that this is going to be a 3-0. They're both incredibly confident about this coming up. Let's have a quick look at the Glasgow Caledonian University roster coming up. Cameron there on the main tank, Echoic, Ben, Notan, Hart, Bedore, and you'll get to know all of them very shortly. The person to watch out for here, in particular, the real linchpin of the team, is going to be Cameron on the main tank.
And look, we even have some lovely pictures of actual players, and that's nice, because as casters, you never actually get to meet the players until you get to these offline finals. It's so nice to speak to them, to hear what their thoughts are about the game, because we've been casting them for an entire season. Let's be honest, the NUEL, it runs for a long time. There's a lot of matches, a lot of stories, and to see that these teams are now here physically to compete for the final prize, that is amazing. And like you said, Phil, the Caledonian Chargers, they love to play ghosts, the 3-3 composition. They're very consistent, although they are to a fault, some might say. I mean, I know that's what the Underwatch says, dependent on Cameron, as he is just an incredibly gifted player, has a lot of knowledge, and in a composition that is as focused on synergy as GOATs, that's a really good place to be. But let's not forget about Underwatch, because Underwatch individually look insane.
Yeah, they are. When you do the raw SR comparison between the two teams on an individual basis, Underwatch have a higher average. So they've got maybe fewer peaky players, but overall very consistently good.
As we see, Jimbo, Derv 2000, Mia, Wallaby, Busoto, and Fabrications is actually subbing in for Kamui, who used to be the supporter. And you can see all the flex happening here. And Underwatch is actually a team that loves to flex away from GOATs. They love to play different compositions. They love to throw double sniper with Winston and Wrecking Ball in there if they think that it will fit the bill. Pull that on the playoffs out of nowhere. And that's a kind of zany composition that we can see from them, and it's also interesting to see what impact a new support player is going to have, because playing with a completely different lineup in of itself is going to be a big challenge, and especially in a team like in a game like Overwatch, where even swapping on one player, I think either it can go really well, because I feel like the players themselves are rather positive about a change, but it remains to be seen whether or not they can get the synergy that is necessary to perform, especially against a team that's so on the same level as GCU.
Yeah, so one of the things to consider, though, is that in making this substitution, what it's done is effectively shuffled a lot of the roster. So we've had people moving from maybe playing Zen, where they weren't that comfortable, feeling as a Diva specialist, can now move in and actually play that Diva role themselves. So this is not going to be a repeat of the previous couple of times we've seen this matchup happen. This is going to be... well, it will be the same old Caledonian Chargers, but it's going to be a very different Underwatch coming into this, I think.
It is, and Underwatch, they play some goats, and you always refer back to that as kind of the standard, but like we said, they're no stranger to weird compositions, and they have the individual level of play to kind of make that work. And if we look back at the last game that these two teams played against each other, we saw a lot of goats, but we saw, again, specifically Underwatch change it up. But I also want to take a look at the other matches that were played high in the playoff bracket, where Underwatch took on Yeet, and Yeet was a team that had a really high roll, but was also very inconsistent. And in the end, Underwatch have been such a consistent team. I think their win-loss record is the best in the entirety of the NUEL, and that's really something to be afraid of. Whereas GCU, they were able to get a commanding lead over their opponents, BU Esports, but you got to look at some of the difficulties that they had there with a Doomfist composition.
Yeah, absolutely. So it didn't actually stop them taking that match.
They still won.
Early on in the series, on the control map, their opponents, BU, were running a Doomfist, and they struggled to make that adaptation quickly enough to deal with the Doomfist to actually get in and win that out. Of course, by the time we got to map number 2, they'd sort of figured it out, and they were ready to go. But it does mean that if Underwatch can keep Caledonian Chargers guessing and keep them constantly on the back foot, then they're in a really good position coming forward.
And we both talked to both the teams, like I said, both set a 3-0. And they also both know that Cameron is going to be the player to look out for. On one hand, GCU, they want to keep Cameron alive because he is the linchpin of that team. He's the one who makes the shot calls. He's the one who leads the charge, literally, as he's usually the Reinhardt player, unless we see him on the Winston. Whereas Underwatch, they are very aware of the fact that they rely on Cameron like that. So I think that it's going to be really key to see, can Cameron perform, even though he's going to get targeted, because they know he's getting targeted. But is that knowledge enough or not?
Well, so one of the things I want to talk about is the fact that coming into this match, if you go and talk to Underwatch, they're going, yeah, okay, we know Caledonian are going to be a really difficult opponent, and we know that we've really got to focus on Cameron. We've got to take Cameron out of the equation, and then the rest of those dominoes come down. If you go and talk to Caledonian Chargers, they're pretty cocky. They say, yeah, we haven't really scrimmed, we haven't really practiced, we're just going to knock them off the point.
Just get a 3-0.
Yeah, just get a 3-0. In fact, both teams, I think we've said, are confident of the 3-0. So this really could go either way, because you have to respect Caledonian Chargers as a really strong GOATS team, but you've also got to respect the fact that staff at the Underwatch have come through and done the practice, done the research, made the swaps. So this is really all up in the air at this point. I don't know how anyone can predict how this is going to go.
I don't think either, because it's been a month and a half ever since we saw these players match up against each other. And I just heard that the first map we're going to be going to is going to be Lijiang Tower, that control map, King of the Hill. Going to see who takes that. But if we look back at when these two teams were playing against each other before, it was, of course, when there was still a little bit of a shift in the meta. We didn't see the recent patch. Now, Baptiste, by the way, is not enabled here, so we're not going to see the really hunker and bunker comps. Unfortunately, or fortunately. You're not a fan. I love myself some bunkers. And no Paris either. Unfortunately, as we see here, Lijiang Tower is going to be the first one. Then it's going to be Escort, Assault, Hybrid, and then once again in the end, another control map here. And as a caster, is there really anything else you'd like to see than just have a go all the 5 maps, Phil?
Well, that's what we want. So both teams think they're going to get that 3-0.
Please don't.
Maybe that's going to translate into taking us all the way to map 5. Love to be able to see them on all of these maps. Really give us a really, tooth-to-tooth fight between these two.
I think Cameron even hinted to, maybe if you ask nicely, we can drop you know, like a point here and there,
Yeah,
just to make sure that it's fun for you guys.
Just so that we get a full afternoon's worth of Overwatch. They might throw a couple for us, which is really considerate of them. People don't think enough about the casters.
No, like who cares about the casters?
No,
right?
nobody.
Like the players, they're screaming, they're practicing, they're grinding, they're honishing their craft. They need to figure out teamwork. But who thinks about the casters? Who need to talk about games?
I think that people think so little about casters that really they would like us to stop talking and just get on with the match, which I think we are only seconds away from everybody getting into Lijiang Tower, ready to go. And this is like the classic. If you're running scrims, if you're running a grand final, the first map is always control, and it's almost always Lijiang. And this is a map that I think certain compositions are definitely favoured here. Control Tower, very, very good as a GOATS map. So we might actually see this be more in Caledonian Charge's favour. But another thing that we did here, speaking to Underwatch, is they think their GOATS play has levelled up significantly. And this,
that ties into what you were saying earlier, that the players, because that sounds a bit abstract, like when you heard about the players, they kind of swap into roles they're more comfortable with. But that just means that, as I was saying earlier, Underwatch was a team that consistently had to flex people. When they switch a composition, the Zen might suddenly be playing DPS. The Diva might be playing Regit. Right? Like, it really swapped a lot around. And now, according to them, like you said, it's going to be looking a lot more comfortable. And this first map is so crucial to me as well, because the first map in a best of 5 gives you such an edge if you're able to take it. It means so much, especially, I imagine, for Underwatch, who are kind of under a bit more pressure. As to come as GCU, you're the underdog.
Yeah.
Right? Like, no, if you win, great, but if you don't win,
and you've already been beaten by them previously.
Indeed.
But the point I wanted to get to in that is that the control center map in particular is such a strong GOATS v GOATS map that this is where we find out whether Underwatch's preparation and the improvements in their GOATS play has really actually started to pay dividends. Let's see what happens when we finally get that Rhine v Rhine matchup in the middle, whether Cameron can do enough to lead his team forward in this.
And don't worry, we know everyone loves watching casters talk, but we are getting into games shortly, as is usually the case. But just it heightens the tension, doesn't it? Because we're excited. But imagine, because these players, they came out here and having played from what is probably going to be a bet room or, like a living room or wherever your PC is situated, and having to come down here, a different environment. There's LAN pressure now. They have a lot of players on both these teams, though. The level of skill you have, it means that a lot of them actually have LAN experience. That's not the biggest of factors, but still, being on that stage, having to make it work here.
Yeah, it's a whole different environment when you've got people actually in the audience watching you. And if you were on board for watching our CSGO finals yesterday, you'll know that the audience can really get involved in this. There was a lot of back and forth, a lot of shouting involved in last night's CSGO game. So maybe we'll see something similar like that. And having either your friends cheering for you or your opponent's friends cheering against you can do a lot in the mental game to either improve or decrease your performance.
Not only that, but again, tying it into like the bigger picture here, I think that first map is also going to showcase. It looks like we will be getting into Lijiang Tower here. Who is going to have kind of the mental attitude? Is it going to be GCU, who are feeling easygoing? They're coming into this 3-0. Cameron says, no problem, I'm going to carry the rest of my team. The rest of the team knows they're on the same page. They can make their GOATs work. Or is it going to be Underwatch? The individual highlight plays.
Well, it's hard. It's hard to say. And both teams at the minute looking like they're showing very similar things. Mia currently looking like they're going to show the Symmetra pick. I don't really for a second believe that.
No.
We've still got 5 seconds. I'm just watching. My eye is on that icon, waiting for the last second swap. Any second now, Maya.
No.
Wait,
no!
Coming out there again with the
go.
Symmetra. We've got a series, guys. This is going to be interesting, to say the least. Jimbo taking a nice early position. And, of course, Mia able to use those orbs to go right through Cameron's barrier, charge him, do a lot of damage, keep firing by just going up against that shield. And like this, taking position, throwing the turrets onto the point, allowing them to do a lot of damage for them. And that is the first kill. Ben taking Fabrications out of the fight. Cameron with the follow-up. Dearth 2000 going down. And that is the signal to go. Cameron goes in, finds Jimbo with the last second pin. Are they going to get this stagger onto Wallaby as they leave? Yes, one last stagger, and that is going to be Caledonian Chargers taking that very, very succinctly.
And it's the sub-in that gets caught initially, and as soon as a single member is down, you know how fast you can follow up on that engagement as Ghost as immediately happens. Bedorian, though, was in the end taken down, and that will provide a small window of opportunity here. They do not switch off the Symmetra yet, Phil.
No, well, 50% of the way to the ultimate. Maybe not the most impactful in this sort of matchup. Jimbo able to mostly body that that Earth Shadow, only caught Maya, and Maya is going down, but Cameron, again, we spoke about just how powerful Cameron is on this as a one-man wrecking crew, but he does get taken by Jimbo, but there is just not enough of Underwatch left to carry that fight all the way. Wallaby taking a dive at the end there. 32% of the point captured for Caledonian Chargers.
And once again, it's Fabrications who get taken out by Cameron, and Cameron is looking like a one-man wrecking ball, not the champion, but the figure of speech, because he's absolutely slicing through the entirety of Underwatch here, and they need to be able to punish him for that aggression. Now, as we see the ultimate starting to become available, Graviton Field entrance centers for both teams.
Graviton Surge comes down out of the field, immediately triggers Fabrications. Transcendence keeping the team alive, but Echoic able to damage Busoto through that. Underwatch in the 5v6. They don't really want to be in this position. You can see them backing off, trying to just get out of the way as No10 throws in the rally. It's going to make that very, very difficult for Underwatch to power through unless they can take a second to get back and rethink how they're approaching this.
And they need to make it work here as they go in. The Graviton Surge still available for them, though. Needs to make sure that it doesn't get eaten.
Oh, speaking of which, Echoic slurping down that Graviton Surge. Wallaby 100% charged, getting in, doing the damage. Down goes Notan in the fight, and that is the signal that they needed to go. Podorian out in the open, Echoic falling as well. Durf 2000 finds Ben in that exchange. This is going to be Underwatch coming in here to take this point back. It has cost them a little bit in ultimates, though.
And Echoic has always been insane. It's just kind of his trademark for eating up those Graviton Surges, finding those ultimates and making sure that they don't come to fruition. But Cameron, we keep talking about how he's the linchpin. He goes down right from the get-go. And even if he wasn't the Reinhardt, that would still be a bad scenario, but he is. And he gets taken down. Yep. Now the follow-up fight.
Yeah, aggressive sound barrier, but Buso comes back with their own, and a Graviton Surge coming in, sending the Demon Bomb along the floor, manages to get Busoto in the fight. So 3 ultimates thrown into that. Caledonian Chargers, they get shattered, but it's not going to be enough. Caledonian Chargers coming back in, get the kills they need to reset that point. Maya does get a kill onto Podorian with the self-destruct. Is that going to be enough? I really don't think so.
Tries to hold on for as long as he can, but I'm not loving the use of ultimate uses here from Underwatch. They really throw out a lot there, and maybe we're going to see a last second hold, but with Jimbo going down, yeah. I don't think they're going anywhere.
Jimbo does manage to tick overtime into effect, but they get focused down so quickly that really they're not in the position to make the plays they need here. Everyone is just keeping this alive at this point rather than looking to seriously contest. Wallaby does get a kill onto Ben, but with the amount of bulk and the amount of sustain that is currently on the point for Caledonian Chargers, and of course with Cameron there ready to just do that much damage in that short of space of time, they are just not going to do this. It was a valiant effort. I'm amazed at how long this overtime has actually ticked over.
Still going on.
Jimbo setting up the stall cycle, but Cameron, again, just absolutely running over Underwatch on that map.
And let's break that down a little bit, because we saw a couple of things. We saw, as we predicted, Cameron, I expect him to come up big, but this is absolutely insane. He's single-handedly taking the Caledonian Chargers, taking his hammer, and smashing throughout the entirety of Underwatch. The ultimate usage was a little bit suspect, and I'm kind of worried for them, because we talked about this sub and how it might actually influence that GOAT in a positive way, but instead we see Fabrications gets caught up multiple times on the Zenyatta, and that's not the kind of things that you can afford, because once you lose the sustain, once you lose the Discord Orb, one, you're not going to chew through your opponent, but more importantly, you're also not going to be able to keep the rest of your team alive. And now we see switch-ups on both sides.
Yeah, correct. So we're going to be running that flying variation of Goats coming in from Caledonian Chargers, swapping in the Reinhardt for a Winston. Underwatch running something a little less conventional. Oh, that has the potential for a nice early opener. Jimbo coming in, sadly not able to get the kill. Very nearly, sadly hit 2 characters that can fly out of the way. Very nearly lost Jimbo in that exchange, and we've got a stall cycle set up already. Nice initiation, gets all 5 in that pound. Jimbo at 63% of their ultimate already, but they are being forced backwards off the point by the constant relentless pressure of the Caledonian Chargers. But there we go, there's the opening. Echoic demeched, but Ben taking Busoto out of the fight at the same time. We may actually see Jimbo, if they're quick, get that ultimate online, but the healing being provided by Heart on the Moira means that it's so difficult for them to get the burst kills they need, but that's a good start. Heart goes goes down in the fight. Ben again. Echoic eats the pulse bomb coming in from Wallaby, who I didn't even see get that. Nice elimination with the power driver. The mines are on the point. It's going to be very hard for them to actually get in and do what they need to do around that. And Jimbo goes into stall cycle mode. Once again, Durf has used the rally, and a nice Graviton Surge gets all of Caledonian charges in that. The point has still not flipped over. These teams too evenly matched for anyone to really get what they need to do here. Notan finding Durf might just be the kill they needed, but every time a kill happens, it gets immediately traded back. Caledonian charges may be in a position now, having taken Fabrications out of the fight, but another minefield for Jimbo. Generated 2 in this opening team fight without the point even having been unlocked here. Honestly, Chronicler, what is going on here?
Fighting for minutes here now, Phil, and both of these two teams are unable, and there's so much survivability. Jimbo just continuously darting in and out of the fights, and now with Wallaby going down, the rally still gets used. I keep thinking that they're finally going to break it, but everyone just keeps expending ultimates without actually using them together and finding edge, and this might very well finally be it here.
Yeah, that was it, and that was absolutely clutch. Ben coming in there with the Graviton Surge gets 2 in that. The kills come out, and that is going to be, despite a really valiant, very scrappy fight, Underwatch are going to lose possession of the point. Caledonian Chargers taking first rep of this.
And I feel like the Tracer pick thus far hasn't really worked out, because you'd expect the Tracer to be able to do so much consistent damage that you can try and find these picks and avoid these exact situations where you just get stuck in these long, drawn-out fights. We see, again, Fabrication getting caught a lot of the times. And you got to imagine that it's also not easy coming into a series, so much pressure on him, and you're the only one who hasn't really had as much experience. Graviton Surge goes down. Yeah,
Graviton Surge fight. Everything is being thrown at this fight. We've got the rally, we've got the Coalescence coming in as well. Caledonian Chargers still with 2 on the board. Cameron throwing in the Palmer Rage, but another minefield from Jimbo. Fabrication's very close to getting that Transcenders, but look at this juggling coming in from Karen, sending that volleyball right the way back. Wasn't able to find the kill that they maybe would have liked, but kept Jimbo out of the fight. He comes roaring back in, takes Notan out, gets another with the mines. Echoic has the self-destruct ready to go, finds Fabrication in that exchange. There's the self-destruct, everybody hiding from that. Heart falling very, very low in this exchange. Underwatch looking to be in a position to actually finally capture this, all on the back of some incredible Wrecking Ball play from Jimbo. Just got to get that pesky Lucio off the point, and that is going to be Underwatch coming back, re-securing this point, and we are going to see Caledonian Chargers coming in with just that one ultimate to play with.
And it was also Cameron chasing so far on the kill on Jimbo and not ever finding it, while the rest of his team really needed the main tank. Now we see him switch back to the Reinhardt, and that means that they're going to have more survivability, but the Winston was working really well with continuously darting in and out. As Jimbo gets taken out, and I'm looking again at Wallaby with Echoic. He's eating it all!
Yeah, Echoic is a hungry boy today, getting lots and lots of ultimates.
Fabrications needs to be so mindful, because this Transcendence is absolutely huge in the upcoming team fight.
Here it is, but no, it wasn't there, and they've committed it into the fight with 2 down already. The kills were so quick. Fabrications took his eye off the ball, and that is going to be Caledonian Chargers taking that on the back of one ultimate. You've got to be happy with that. I said they had one ultimate coming into this, and I thought it's not going to be enough. Evidently it was.
And again, like Fabrications, the last few times he was getting caught, and now he's just a little bit too far backwards. The rest of his team not on the same page as him, as Wallaby tries to contest but gets taken down. And like you said, the fact that Transcendence even gets used after 2 members are already taken down is such an unfortunate case for Underwatch, because they need every inch that they can find here as they just try and find these openings. But now with Cameron back on Reinhardt, look at it strong enough. He just switched already as the Earth Shatter.
Yeah, and again, just this, any time Cameron is in a fight, expect them to be right in the middle of that kill feed. That's a really unfortunate stagger. Underwatch did quite a lot there to keep that point alive for that little bit longer, keep everything going, build more control, and they do have quite the war chest coming into this fight. But honestly, coming in against a Shatter and a Transcendence and a Self-Destruct, it's not a great position.
It's not looking good. They need to block somehow a lot of it as the rally comes through here, Phil.
Oh, big Shatter comes in, puts 2 on the ground. Fabrications comes down. Pisoto again with the later. Echoic eating ultimate. Number 4, there's Wallaby with the pulse bomb, not able to find anything. Cameron charging in for that final kill. Somehow finds Durf in the middle of that. No idea how they knew they were going to be there. Another minefield coming out for Jimbo. Maya making a quick swap over onto the Sombra, ready to come back, but it's just not enough. The time to kill for Underwatch has been too slow. They can't get the kills they need.
They're just consistently unable to take down Cameron, and we keep talking about Cameron, but it's also the rest of his team. There's Hard and Pedorian, who, like I said, I felt like a positioning was suspect at times in the playoffs when they were unable to stay alive against the Doomfist, but even with Wallaby on a threat like the Tracer, they don't get taken down, they stay alive. We see them light up the kill feed even. and it's the entirety of the Caledonian Chargers that are just on the same page. And really the only thing we've seen Underwatch do, besides the one team for their one when Cameron overextended, is just try and crawl back into this game. They're not actually the one dictating the pace, they're not setting the tempo. And Caledonian Chargers show, you think you might have a shot against us in goats versus goats, think again.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate because there were some really wonderful moments coming out there from Underwatch in that exchange. But I just feel like...
that's no surprise.
Yeah, Cameron on Play of the Game, name a better duo, I will wait. What it felt to me like, Wallaby was coming out on the Tracer because they were expecting to find somebody vulnerable. They were expecting to find a Zenyatta, they were expecting to find maybe an Ana, but it just wasn't there. So Notan permanently with the shield, with the armor, and Hart able to disappear out of that using the Moira Fade meant that actually the Tracer pick wasn't getting what it needed.
But even when Hart switched to Zenyatta, like I said, I'm really impressed with them being able to just consistently stay alive here, because this was the exact thing that I was kind of worried getting into this match, that one of the weaknesses of the Caledonian Chargers were that their support sometimes were vulnerable, and Wallaby, we know that he can get those picks, but thus far, incredible first game from the Caledonian Chargers, and we raised this question, Phil, it's going to be on Cameron, and thus far, that's working out.
Well, so this is the thing, like, both teams predicted, oh, well, yeah, Cameron is sort of the key to this, and that's proven absolutely true, just coming in, having, you know, done actually a pretty good job on the Winston, going, okay, not survivable enough, comes back in with the Reinhardt, swinging the hammer, knocking Underwatch off the point. He really is a force to be reckoned with, and so Underwatch need to focus more on getting him down in these fights.
And that's the problem, like, they know that is going to happen, and then it's not just the threat of Cameron, who can play so aggressively because the rest of his team is always there to back him up, because they know he's always the one getting focused, but it's also someone like Echoic, who not only eats Graviton Surge, but also Pulse Bombs, right? And that's, like, Graviton Surges is one thing, because, you know, you kind of get a feel for when the Graviton Surge is available. You see the Zarya, and the Zarya is fairly slow, fairly stationary, but a Tracer...
So just to add a little bit of context to this, one of the things that I heard Wallaby say, we had a little bit of talk with the teams before we started this, one of the things I heard Wallaby say to the rest of the team was, I don't think Echoic has ever eaten any of my Gravs, and I think that was
but I do think...
2 Gravs and a Pulse Bomb?
I think it was a joke. I'm not entirely certain.
Okay, I'm very bad at reading social cues.
Yeah, well.
I
think you're doing great, Phil, and then Shell Shaft Short. But more importantly, I feel like what we need to see now in the second game is a switch up. Either they try and not go for Cameron, keep their own backline further back, and then try to get to, like I said, maybe harder Pedorian are going to step too far forward. Maybe Echo gets a little bit too greedy when he wants to eat a Graviton Surge, when he wants to eat a Pulse Bomb, or any ultimate that he can find. All we need to see is any composition, something wacky, something curvy, because they were so confident in Goats as Goats, and I don't want to all hang it up on a single control map, because this is the kind of map where, you know, if you don't get rolling and you see the situation that we saw here, because they were going even, don't be mistaken, for like the first 3 minutes, I think, 2 minutes, it was just continuous fight.
It's one long team fight,
But then Caledonian Chargers got the point, and then we saw more of those long team fights, but now with them in control. So I want to see either switch up your playstyle or go, as we are going to be moving to Junkertown shortly, and Junkertown is a map that does allow for that, go for crazy composition. We've seen them pull out double sniper, and... if there is a map where you can pull something like that off, you can go for the pirate ship. These are things that are available, Phil.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't have to run. In fact, it's probably, certainly in this first point, one of the maps where the Goats v Goats matchup is a lot less common. So you often see the double sniper, the pirate ship. It's still not a bad map to run Goats on the defensive side if you are particularly confident. So we may see that coming out for Caledonian Chargers because they're a Goats team. That's what we've seen from them. But again, do expect something a little bit more... I hesitate to use the word interesting, but something more interesting coming out from Underwatch, the double sniper, the pirate ship. Actually, I was super impressed with Jimbo's Wrecking Ball. Jimbo's Wrecking Ball was very, very good, generating ultimate very quickly. Yeah, I think one long team fight at the beginning, 2 rounds of ultimates in that fight. And some really beautiful, like, 5-person pile drivers. Beautiful to see.
That's crazy. And that's like the kind of things that... those are these individual plays that I was looking for. But what then saddens me is that you see a 5-man pile driver, 5 men get knocked up into the air, but even that is not enough for them to capitalize. And to me as well, and I don't want to focus too much on fabrications, because like I said, I feel like he has a really tough job coming in as a sub in a really high impact or really high stakes environment. But it just feels like the entirety of Underwatch isn't really on the same page. Whereas that is something that the Caledonian Chargers are doing amazing at the moment.
Yeah, so this is a comment that the Caledonian Chargers had about Underwatch coming into this, is that they feel like Underwatch are a bunch of people that are a bunch of players that are used to just playing in a very individualistic, very fragging style, and it's very hard to make that work against a GOATS composition. But Underwatch showing that, looked very closely for a second there like we were going to be seeing that pirate ship, but no, it is going to be the straight Zen GOATS v Zen GOATS matchup. Caledonian Chargers taking early aggressive position in this house, come roaring out. Cameron at the front line, forcing Underwatch back. Underwatch giving up an awful lot of ground here. Ooh, very nice fire strike comes in, gets quite a few of those. Jimbo leading the charge in, ultimate charge in this fight coming up, and I love Heart's positioning here, right the way in the back, just indiscriminately raining orbs into the fight left and right. Wallaby has to retreat into spawn just to try and clear off this Discord orb, but they are being penned in by Heart. Heart's awareness here is absolutely amazing. Maya falling very low in this fight. Caledonian Chargers still very, very high up. They need to pick a target and focus him down. Ben and Notan falling very low. That's a nice pick. Notan going down early in the fight. Cameron and Echoic falling very low also. We just need to see the follow-up, but look at that. Cameron already has the Earth Shatter. Yes, they've died, but they've got it ready for that next fight, generating that incredibly quickly. Actually, quite a nice fight from Underwatch there.
Indeed, and they make great use of the fact that their vicinity to spawn is so close that you can just dip in and out and heal up. And even though I understand the attempt, as we see the... assume that it wasn't meant to be used there, Transcendence coming out.
Maybe a little bit of a fat thing.
Happens to the best of us, as the Earth Shatter then needs to not hit, because if it does, that's going to be an absolutely atrocious situation for Underwatch to be in.
Well, there's a Graviton Surge, locks up Cameron. Are we going to see the counter Shatter coming out from Cameron? But no, nice self-destruct from Mia. That's 5 down for Caledonian Chargers, and we've just got that Pilot Diva form. Beautiful set play from Underwatch as they sail this on to the end of point A.
There's no Earth Shatter, but perhaps more importantly, Underwatch look completely revitalized. They threw away a Transcendence accidentally.
And it didn't matter.
And it didn't matter.
No.
And this is a complete turnaround. And like we said, control maps, they can feel snowbally. You can have these situations where a team doesn't really play to this hard extent. And now Underwatch, it looks like, at least thus far, they've done a full mental reset. They are facing down a lot of ultimates. And once again, it's going to be the Earth Shatter. And it's going to be the Transcendence that are key. Heart's positioning has been really good so far. And I hope he can keep it up next team fight. Cameron maybe looking for a flank.
Cameron looking for a drop-down Shatter, I think. But he keeps falling very, very low in this fight. I like the Perseverance Fabrications continuously putting that in. Gets the drop down, doesn't get the follow-up Shatter, has got the rally in play though, and the Graviton Surge, so who needs a Shatter when he can just wail into the fight like that? There we go. One ultimate and completely knocking Underwatch off the point, and honestly, this is a really difficult point to get stopped at.
It is, and the Caledonian Chargers also show a lot of restraint, and this is like the kind of experience that you expect from a team with someone like Cameron in it, who as the main, I assume the main shot caller is going to just making these calls. They don't use anything else, whereas that team might be tempted to also throw in an Earth Shatter just to be sure. Only use the rally, only use the Graviton Surge. Now Underwatch, they didn't use a lot, but again, Fabrication that almost has a Transcendence. Bisoto getting real low, kind of to get taken down here.
Oh, here we go. Nice high deep bomb. Sends them all into this tiny, tiny room, shattering over the top. But a stacking of defensive ults from Underwatch has kept them all alive in the fight, but they are still trapped in this room. But it doesn't stop Durf finding the kill onto Notan. And now we've got Heart throwing their Transcendence in. We've got a Graviton Surge. We've got a self-destruct. We've got a charge and a 3K from Maya. That's going to be a lot of ultimates thrown at the fight from both teams, but when the dust has settled and the particle effects have cleared, that is going to be Underwatch coming out on top.
And a lot of attempt that are a big attempt from the Caledonian Chargers, trying to, in that choke point, get so much damage through that the Transcendence isn't going to matter. It starts off with the Earth Shatter, but Fabrications this time is able to stay back and keep the rest of his team alive. No miscommunications there, and then they just wrap up the rest of the offensive ultimates. Cameron once again goes in so aggressive here, but there is an Earth Shatter available.
Yeah, he generates these so quickly. Shatter comes in, nothing doing, but the counter from Jimbo puts 2 on the ground. That's Notan going down in that exchange. Cameron gets hard focused as well. Underwatch very, very close to capping point 2 here. Just got to get these last few pesky stragglers from Caledonian Chargers, and we have had a Graviton thrown into that fight by Ben at the end. Not entirely sure what the thought was on that though.
And that's, I feel like, the first big mistake that we've seen the Caledonian Chargers make in terms of ultimate usage, where the fight was already forfeit, they still commit the Graviton Surge. And against Underwatch in the form that they're currently looking, that is a key ultimate. We saw last time that Caledonian Chargers can win a single team fight with that ultimate. It is so high impact, grouping everyone together. But now Fabrication's positioning, it seems to be better. He's on fire, he has the Transcendence.
Yeah, Notan has used the rally. That means that everyone is going to come forward with a little bit more confidence. Echoic has a self-destruct ready to go. They're just looking for the optimum placing. They know that Reinhardt is far forward, so they can afford to drop this behind. And if you can take a Reinhardt out of the fight like that, that is a good opening. I'm amazed we've seen Echoic hold on to this for quite as long as they have. They've retreated, getting out of this fight because they know that they're on the back foot without the main tank. This is so good for Underwatch.
And Underwatch looking like a completely different team here in the second game field, whereas on Lijiang Tower they had so much difficulty. But in Junkertown they're looking completely revitalized. Now there is a lot to work with here for Caledonian Chargers. Echoic, like you said, I would not have minded the self-destruct there early on in the fight, but they didn't want to take the risk. There's so many nooks and crannies where you can hide. As Underwatch might make the final push here. But the Graviton Surge!
Graviton Surge does absolutely nothing. Neither does the self-destruct. Echoic has their own here ready to go. 2 shields say nothing doing out of that self-destruct. And with the sound barrier on board and the Transcendence coming in for Heart, going to keep everybody alive through that. That is what they needed to finally start getting some of these kills. Cameron not dying so early in that fight this time has been pretty good. And another Earth Shatter for Cameron. They might not even need to use that. Oh, Fabrication comes in with the Transcendence, but everyone has already been shattered. But it did keep them alive through that. Cameron, Echoic Heart living in that kill feed like they were born there.
And Cameron just using the Graviton Surge to make sure that he knows he's not going to kill them because of the Transcendence, but just lock them in place, and then they commit yet another ultimate in the Graviton Surge from Ben to make sure that they actually get through. And now a little moment for the Caledonian Chargers, and that really was, on part at least, due to the Graviton Surge just completely whiffing there from Wallaby.
Yeah, it's a real shame. Although Wallaby 80% of the way to their next one, Cameron already halfway to their next Earth Shatter, having just used that one so recently. Underwatch coming up on a lot of ultimates as well. They're going to use that rally to get in on the fight under the cover of that delicious armor, secure the kills, but another shatter from Cameron. I talked about how quickly they were generating it. There we go, but nothing coming out of that, and they do lose Notan in the fight, so they're in 5v6 territory. But at this point, with 1 minute 23 left to go on the clock, you are just looking to get as much time as you can, and they keep losing Cameron in these fights. It seems that Underwatch finally understand that they have to focus down Cameron to get these wins, but so far there is nobody on the point actually getting the kills they need, and Podorian still fragging out, finds Fabrication in that exchange, and it is just Jimbo and Boostero left in the fight, and that is going to be pretty much it. I kind of want to see a reset here from Underwatch.
Underwatch just grasping at straws there, like Jimbo moving forward, the Discord up on and trying to maybe get to the point, maybe find a pick, and they were so close that Fabrication stayed alive for so long with just a sliver of health, but in the end, it's not enough, and now the Caledonian Chargers, only 40 seconds left on the clock. If they can hold off a full push here from the team of Underwatch, that's going to be a really good, and Wallaby, this Graviton Surge is going to be used as a counter one available as well. It can't get eaten, it can't hit a wall here, Phil.
It needs to be absolutely huge. They've got to spend so much attention tracking Echoic's defense matrix use. They've taken that sound barrier as an aggressive sign to go. Gets the kill onto Notan first in that fight, but we've got 2 Transcendences in the fight. Shatter comes out, not able to find anything. 2 Shatters coming out, and we've had Mia put on the ground, and that is going to be Wallaby with the high energy on that Zarya, managing to get the kills. 6 seconds left to go on the clock, and they are finally starting to make a bit more progress on the payload.
And you saw that Wallaby held his Graviton Surge for so long because Echoic was in top of his phase. They expected it to come out as soon as they jumped off the base, but instead he holds it, waits, and aims it at the ground to make sure it doesn't get eaten. They get the back of the team fight. It's an overtime push, but they need to make it work now.
Yeah, and they've got nothing in terms of ultimates ready to go, but Notan has used the rally already, so that is definitely in favor of Caledonian Chargers in the fight. They need to be very, very quick at generating something here. Watch Jimbo's ult charge very, very closely, 90% of the way to the Graviton Surge, and we've got a self-destruct coming in from Echoic. Has it managed to force them off the point? No, but Jimbo falls. Self-destruct gets the DMEC onto Maya. Busoda goes down, followed by Durf, and that is going to be all there is, but a heck of a last-second push from Underwatch.
Indeed, they don't get to the 3rd point, but they get real close, and in the end, Underwatch, they look so much better on the second map here. I don't know if it's going to be enough because the Caledonian Chargers show that even though they struggle a little bit with this new form of Underwatch, it's stuff like Echoic, the self-destruct, just giving enough space, creating an opportunity for the rest of his team to take Jimbo down. He didn't get the Earth Shatter off of that big cooldown, Underwatch just can't seem to make their way into that final team fight win that needs to get the full push there.
No, but one thing that I am seeing from Underwatch, or maybe you want to call it from Caledonian Chargers, is the number of times that Cameron goes down first in a fight. And Underwatch know that they've got to get rid of Cameron if they're going to stand a chance of getting through this. So the fact that that's starting to work out for them, I think, is a very, very good sign.
It's also Noten who got caught up a couple of times, and on the Brigitte, you want to play aggressive because the character has so much upfront damage in CC that if you can find these opportunities, you can find your way into the backline. It's really easy for you to just lock them down, and with a little bit of help, take them down as well. But it also means that you have a risk when you position yourself too far forward. If you get focused down, your team loses out on so much AoE healing and so much CC, and the shield, even though it's not nearly as big as the Rhine shield, still tanks up a lot. And I want to see Notan stay alive for a little bit longer here, because I felt like, besides Cameron, he was the one getting picked on a lot, and we see Echoic maybe want to hover there for a little bit, but instead decides to go back. And thus far, Underwatch were promising us fireworks, but it's really just been goats versus goats.
Yeah, it is, but they are looking a lot better than we expected in that goats v goats matchup. The amount of scoping they're doing, but look at this. Caledonian know exactly where Underwatch are in this fight. They're doing exactly what was done to them in the previous round. So this is going to be a matter of positioning as to who can get in the best high ground or just, you know, off-angle position to start getting some of these kills.
And the early skirmishes here just trying to build up ult shards. Once again, it's Cameron who takes the lead there. Some aggressive hammering.
Yeah, actually no, Jimbo, 57%, that's pretty good. And we are seeing Caledonian Chargers force back. We very nearly lost Ben in that fight. Jimbo falling very, very low again. You've got to watch out for the health pack coming out from Vegeta, but they lose Basoto in that fight. But they do have Dirt's Rally. They are throwing it into the fight, but immediately shut down by Echo. It's such a misstep by Durf. And look how far the payload has made it here compared to what we saw from Caledonian Chargers' defensive run. This is not a great position.
Once again, Jimbo, he realized that as soon as his support gets taken down, he wants to back off, but there's still other members of the team going in, and this is what we were talking about. Caledonian Charge, we know they're a team that are so on the same page, that are always going in as 6, as if there were 1. Whereas Underwatch, I've seen a couple of times now where one of the players seems to make a call and they don't really seem to be on the same page, and you can't afford to do that in a goats versus goats matchup. Yeah,
and lots of key ultimates coming up here, and Cameron finds the early kills. Well, frankly, who's surprised by that? They take out Durf early in the fight, and I think that's really interesting because the Brigitte has the armor pack that I like to think of as keep Reinhardt alive juice, and once that is off the board, it's very difficult to keep your Reinhardt alive.
Keep Reinhardt alive.
Keep Reinhardt alive.
That is a really nice way of putting it. I mean, if you're Caledonian Charge, that's all you're looking for, right? Keep Ryan alive, win game.
Yeah, basically. And look what they're coming into this fight with. 5 ultimates compared to Underwatch with just the 3. Actually, they're very close to the self-destruct coming out from Maya. But they're really on the back foot here.
They really are, and I want to see Underwatch go for something crazy, go for a flank, maybe try and make a big play. Of course, they are going to get noticed here, and once again, Wallaby needs to come up big with the self-destruct. They can't afford to have it eaten. Echoic is ready for it.
Yeah, keep on pushing. A couple of set plays available to them here. Graviton locks them into position. Charge coming out, stuns Cameron, gets the double. Both main tank and off tank offline for Caledonian Chargers. Underwatch finally managing to stop the progress.
A great coordination there as we see at the exact moment that the self-destruct comes through.
Oh, Echoic.
Yeah,
so sad.
Feels so bad to get staggered. Yeah. No, it's never great.
It's never good. Pilot form D.Va left alone in the middle of 6.
Like like hopping around, trying to go, no,
like
I can get out of here.
Just longing for the end. Like, guys, put me on my midfield. I want to go see my team again.
The team, they're there. I want to be in Mac form.
Yeah, but still lots to play with the Caledonian Chargers. 4 on the board, including a support ultimate. Underwatch throw the rally into that fight, but they're using that and backing off. Maya finally starting to tally up a little bit more on the ult-eaten side for Underwatch. And Cameron whips the shatter. Jimbo falls in that and actually gets the shatter cancelled out. Both support ultimates thrown in for that. Busoda still has their Sandberry ready to go in this fight. Look at Cameron generating this ult charge so quickly, 38% of the way already. Falling very, very low in the fight, gets stunned and taken out of the fight. Durf 2000 focusing Cameron right down in the fight. And I'm amazed Caledonian Chargers are still in here. We're having lost Cameron and now Notan. Really you want to see a wholesale retreat because we're in this situation again. We've got the pilot form D.Va just left alone and staggered out in the fight. And especially when you look at just how much they're able to abuse this. There we go, finally getting that kill.
And like you said, Phil, I feel like this is also partially the call that Cameron gets taken down, but we still see the Frost is engaged on the D.Va, trying to get in. We see the split calls now. And you got to know that as soon as your Reiner goes down, especially if your Reiner as essential to your team as Cameron is, you can't afford to go for it. And now they're actually in an ultimately deficit as they get caught in the grab.
Yes, huge Graviton surge on the corner there, stops it being eaten. Sadly, nothing coming out of the self-destruct as well, but they do take Ben out in that exchange, and yeah, really you just want to retreat until you can come back in. When you're so far away from the payload like this, you don't want to be taking that team fight a man down.
Definitely not, and Old Economy still behind. Ben needs to come up absolutely used. Last time we saw that it was eaten. The rally gets used.
Cameron already falling very, very low, less than halfway. Ben throws that in, but the counter shatter coming out from Jimbo is going to take Cameron, Notan, and Ben out of the fight. And this is a completely different Underwatch. This is an Underwatch that looked like they should not have lost that previous round on Lijiang Tower.
There is a lead now, though, in terms of ultimates, as Echoic and Cameron will have the Earth Shatter available, combined with the Self-Destruct. But like you said, Phil, it looks like we might have a series on our hands as well. Caledonian Charge looked so impressive in the first game. Underwatch now is really making it difficult for them as the Self-Destruct is used as an initiation tool.
Yeah, that was weird. I was sort of expecting to go for the old classic, throw the self-destruct behind the Ryan shield, then shatter the rest of the team, but it didn't happen. Cameron's shield goes down, finally manages to succeed with the counter shatter, takes 2 out in the exchange. Maya secures the DMX onto Echoic, but Cameron just swinging here, daring anybody to come anywhere even close, and Maya not quite given the stagger that was given to Echoic in the previous couple of fights, but this has been a lot of time burnt off the clock.
It has been, and like we said, the ultimate advantage wasn't even really a big factor in that fight because the Earth Shatter was key, but the Graviton or the Self-Destruct Radar didn't actually find anyone, and there was a little bit of mistiming there. Regardless, on the back of Cameron finding enough people and the counter Earth Shatter from Jimbo not finding any targets themselves, they now push on here. Don't forget, it's 2 more minutes, and if they take this one, Caledonian Charge are going to be 2-0 up and only a single game away from winning that trip to the Overwatch League.
And really, if you're Underwatch here, you maybe want to try and lose this fight, burn out some ultimates just to make it harder. Nice! Maya finds a kill in the back line, taking Hart out of the fight, but we've had all 3 support ultimates for Underwatch used now. We did see Notan use theirs as well. Podorian not quite close enough to the sound barrier in the next fight coming up, but this aggression from Underwatch, just trying to secure the last few kills, get the stagger, taking Cameron out of the fight so late in, and Jimbo has an Earth Shatter. Wallaby has the Graviton Surge. This is a huge play from Underwatch.
I love that, because if you just back off there, the moment that you win that fight and then retreat, you don't actually get the extra ult economy that you're looking for. You don't get, the, like you said, the percentages that now mean that...
Nice early kill with the fire strike.
Hard move.
Oh, and the shatter gets stunned out as well. Cameron completely lost that ultimate. Jimbo going ham here now. And look, pressing right the way up to the spawn doors. Less than a minute left to go, and I don't know what Caledonian
use the ultimates, Phil.
Yeah, 2 hugely powerful tank ultimates. They don't have any defensive ultimates left, whereas Caledonian Chargers do have the Transcendence and the Sound Barrier, so the timing here on either of these is going to be absolutely key. Sound Barrier, aggressive Sound Barrier from Podorian, means that's going to buy all the space in the world for Caledonian Chargers to get in, and they lose Jimbo in the fight. Wallaby still has the Graviton Surge. Fabrication's choosing to use the Transcendence in that fight, and there's the Graviton Surge and the Self-Destruct and the Shatter up the top. Nothing coming out. But now it's Echoic's turn. What can they get done with that? They get the DMX onto Mia. Here's the sound barrier. It's going to keep them alive in the fight and help them secure those last few kills. Cameron falls, but Wallaby loses their life in the exchange. Echoic, Padorian, Ben bringing it home big for their team. It's just the 3 of them and Notan on the point. We are getting very close to overtime now. If Underwatch can make a very quick recontest, they're in a very good position here.
It's all or nothing once again. Can they make the overtime push? Only the rally available. Wallaby nowhere near a Graviton Surge. Jimbo and Fabrications, if they can get on top of them, maybe, but they don't have a lot of time left, as Underwatch need to make the miracle hold in not to fall down 2-0 to the Chargers.
Yeah, but they have got the rally, and that's going to allow them a lot of space for aggression, and Podorian throws the sound barrier in as well, but Jimbo has a Shatter ready to go. This is where this game is going to be won or lost. Shatter comes in, Notan down, Hart and Echoic shattered on the floor as well. Cameron falling down. This is looking pretty promising for Underwatch as Hart falls and as Ben falls. Echoic about to get DMX. Podorian left, hopping around on the point, finally knocked out of it, and that is going to be Underwatch, bringing us to 1-1 in the series.
No Frios today, Phil.
No, we are at the very least going to see a map 4, and I am excited for it to happen.
No Frios, and that makes us very happy. I guess either of the teams are
Still Cameron would play the game. Fine.
Please, can we just get Cameron play the game every? I would love that in this series. Like every single game, it's Cameron.
Yeah, well, this is huge though. Just the
damage.
ability to do all that damage and get that cleave into that is yeah. Wow, that's quite a match. You know, it looked like that could have gone either way through most of that match, but a really beautiful hold from point B and on point C from Underwatch in that fight.
And especially like you said, the aggressive play was really good from Underwatch, where I felt like there were still some issues, like, you know, in the beginning on the map where they looked a little bit shaky. But then as soon as they got to the second point, he was able to consistently outfight the Caledonian Charge. And last time, that wasn't even something that we could imagine happening.
No,
because that Goats versus Goats.
It looked really, really one-sided in that previous fight. For it to come back in such a convincing way and have Underwatch, and honestly, it did look for a time like Caledonian Chargers were just going to try and squeak that through there, especially when we got to that 4 people riding the payload at the end. So the fact that Underwatch are able to come through and just wait for that regroup, wait for that recontest.
Is that's the same blazer, right, that you were wearing before?
Yeah, I've been wearing this all day.
Okay.
It's really hot here,
just double checking. Yeah, no, I imagine. I did already say I love the outfit.
Thank you, very kind. I like the.
Thank you. Yeah, the bird.
Yeah.
Nice.
Overwatch. Anyway,
Overwatch. Like you said, I think that after this game, it's impossible to call how the series is going to go, because while Underwatch was able to really bounce back, show some great aggressive play, show that their Goats actually can beat their opponents, in the end, though, it wasn't so one-sided that we say, okay, now it's going to be a 3-1 for Underwatch. It's still very close here, Phil, and what a series thus far.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to put any money on this. Honestly, this really could still go either way, but we are going to have to wait a few minutes to find out which way it's going to go. We're going to take a short break, but we'll be right back.
soaking up in all the love. Bullet shells is drinking cause maybe we won't have enough. We down to the last of gravity is pushing up. Dark side, no Darth Vader we see. In every life taking a spiteful word that we breathe. To save your soul isn't easy. Nah, so just adjust the horns on your TV. In here they don't fly. Pretending has ended an eye for an eye. So give me the slide, give me the greed. The coldest in life for the hottest degrees. You and your deal, sign it with me. The pen is not heavy, so ride on the knees. Steam bed is burning with sheets that you make. And it's so fickle, I love your mistakes. Pay the fee. The night is free. Someday, no heed. I know you are me, yes. Pay the fee. The night is free. So take no heed. I know you are me, yes. Yes.
We were never done. You were always the one. Never done. But too close to the sun. So I keep running to you.
dancing.
Yeah, you guys.
I was
you
waiting for
guys
that.
didn't catch us dancing. That never happened. But we are back, and we are going to go to map number 3. So we are 1-1 in the series. Underwatch managing to bring that back in pretty spectacular style. That was honestly a great series. When you look at how dominant Caledonian Chargers were on the first map, for having to come back in such a robust fashion is really heartening to see.
It also means for us that we're going to have an entertaining series on our hands here, because when both teams say they're 3-0, you're always like, you're always going to say that. But then sometimes it actually happens. So as a caster, it looks like, well, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Fortunately for us, that's not the case here. As after that second game, like I said, I also don't feel like I have a very clear idea who's going to be the winner here, because the way that the final series transpired, in the end, it still came down to a single team fight coming through. Like, it wasn't like they were held off. Like, there were good moments from both teams. It was a real back and forth, but in the end, it was the final team fight there that a little bit of an extra ult economy advantage was able to net the team of Underwatch the win. But Caledonian Chargers,
well, let's not count them out yet, because this
Definitely not.
this is a team that has been really quite dominant in the series so far, not just today but across the entirety of the NUEL Live spring split. So I think they're going to be using this break we've just had to sit back and learn lessons. They now have to realise that Cameron is being hard focused. A number of times either Cameron or Notan went down first in the team fight and everything else just crumbled around them. It is indicative that Underwatch know exactly what their win condition is.
but I also feel like it's not that simple of a solution, because even if Cameron plays further back, that also means they create more space for the rest of Underwatch to maybe make those highlight plays that we kind of know and expect them for, love them for, that if you give them the room, they're going to come out with this crazy stuff. Now, I got to say, thus far, it's mainly been about goats versus goats.
It has.
We've seen a Symmetra that was very unsuccessful.
It was a nice thought. Like I understand.
I loved it.
I understand that. Like, oh great, we need to take down the Reinhardt. Let's have like one of the best shield breakers in the game. Let's see if that can work. But it's just not good enough to come through the sustain and the damage that comes out of the very competent goat setup.
And so to summarize, if you might just be tuning in, this is the finals of NUEL Live. The winner of this series wins an all-exclusive VIP trip to the Overwatch League, as we see the lineup from the Caledonian Chargers here. Cameron, of course, the big carry, Echoic, Ben, Notan, Hart, Pedorian.
Yeah. Notan and Ben being given DPS pictures there in that. We've yet to see that come out for them. Maybe we will see some Notan Genji coming out in the next couple of rounds. I'd love to see it. You don't often get to see Genji that much. Even in the position we are now with the meta, where these DPS picks are a little more viable, still don't see that much Genji.
But that's the problem with Genji. Like, he lives, he thrives by not being CC'd, and then Brigitte is in the game. And you're like,
the anti-Genji.
As lineup for Underwatch here: Jimbo, Durf, Mia, Wallaby, Busoto, and Fabrications. And I gotta say, Fabrications really been impressing me, because, like I said, on the first map on Lijiang, having a difficult time, but then afterwards really not dying nearly as much anymore, able to hit the ultimates.
We do have to talk a little bit about that Transcendence for Nobody on that first attacking run on Junkertown.
There was also the Gravelin Surge from Wallaby.
Yeah. So I understand, the Q and the W, they're very close together on a keyboard. If you're not looking, it's quite easy just to boom.
It happens.
It happens.
You're not at your home setup.
No.
Although it is kind of fitting that it's Underwatch who does it twice.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen it from Caledonia.
They do it twice and are still 1-1 in the series. So imagine what would happen if they hadn't with those ultimates.
If they actually use all their resources.
Yeah.
What will happen then, Phil?
Yeah. Well, who knows? Maybe we'd be at 2-0 in the series the other way. But we have our third map locked in, ready to go. We're going to be going over to Hanamura, another map where, of course, it is very feasible, maybe even preferable, to run that triple tank, triple support lineup we all know and tolerate as
I do feel like Hanamura is one where you go for something crazy like the May, try and wall off that initial spawn. And, Hanamura, I feel, for me, was really one of the maps that kind of made me fall in love with Overwatch. Even though in terms of actual gameplay, I feel like as far as 2CP maps go, it's one of the better ones, but 2CP maps in general, bit rough.
There's just something about the 2CP maps. they're either all or nothing. Like, you either come through and just demolish and come through with ultimates, take point
Doesn't
one,
happen.
keep them going, and just steamroller, snowball point two, or you sort of scrape a victory on point A and spend the next 5 minutes trying to scrape a victory on point B.
Get a tick.
Really can go either way with these maps, and I know that it can be frustrating for some people, but Hanamura in particular, I think you were saying is the map that maybe made you fall in love with the game. It's certainly a beautiful map. Of all of the map designs, it's one of the most colourful. It's one of the most iconic, I think, for Overwatch.
You got the cherry blossoms, right? You got. I remember in Overwatch beta, because like I go way back when no one knew how to clear that gate. Like no one was able to. There was Bastion, Torbjorns. Like how do we deal with that? And I'm really happy that the meta has progressed beyond that, because that would not be a very good place to be in. See some interesting hovers here, but unfortunately, no. Those are never going to come through. As always, they like to play, they like to have fun, but actually doing it. Although I do remember Basoto playing a Doomfist, but no, in the end, it's going to be Goats versus Goats once again here. Same compositions. It's been even thus far. Can they break the first point here, Phil?
Well, it's got to happen for one of them. Otherwise, we just come to a draw on this one.
Let's hope not.
Let's hope not. But
that would be something, wouldn't it?
It would. Interesting positioning coming out from Caledonian Chargers. They opt to hold sort of behind the door. It means they're not going to take any early choke damage. They can wait for Underwatch to come to them and then dish out damage on their own terms. Cameron not quite able to find anything with these fire strikes yet. Continuously getting... And they are getting heavily focused on now to nearly half health. Their nice fire strike bringing that ult charge right the way back up. But they are going to have to move over and just try and recover and get rid of the Discord orb.
And Cameron's always a big story with the Caledonian Charge. Look at that ult shot, 70%. He plays so aggressively, knows when to back off as well. And thus far the gate has not been broken.
No, but I like this. You can see Underwatch waiting for some of these defensive ults to come
gone!
down. And they've done it. They know exactly what they're after here. They've taken down Cameron and Noten. And at this point, they can just kind of afford a leisurely walk onto the point, because they've got the DMX onto Okoic. They do lose Jimbo, but Ben falls at the same time. And, this is 5v6. Heart gets just flat disintegrated in that fight there.
What I like is that Hardy recognized, like, I can try and like get away from this Zarya, but why would I? I'm dead. Like I'm not going to be able to get out of her alive. So instead, tries to maybe get a pick. Maybe the last orb, get someone there.
What it did do is it brought them a little bit more ult charge, 85%. So Caledonian Chargers are coming into this next fight with some tools to work with. They're getting very close to having everything, but Underwatch
so scary.
Just have to get the Graviton Surge gets in by Okoic. That's Wallaby taking that down again, and the shatter out from Cameron, but it does trigger the Transcendence. A counter shatter coming out. Heart going down in the fight. Has the Transcendence ready to go. Sound barrier alive for both teams and the Graviton Surge, so everybody using pretty much everything. Here comes the self-destruct from Echoic. Is it going to find anything? No, but Cameron falls down in the fight again, and this is going to allow Underwatch to get in and start taking control of the point. However, Transcendence coming out from Heart is just going to stop any more point progress being captured whilst they wait for the recontest to come in.
They snowball so hard, Phil!
So far, though, they've not managed to actually capture any percentage on the point. Cameron is just waiting for a bit more support so they can come in and get this Earth Shatter ready to go. 91%. They've just got to stay alive a few more seconds to keep this up and alive and connect, and that'll be it. But Cameron at 80 health does receive the Keep Reinhardt alive juice, but it's not enough as Underwatch currently at 2 ticks. Only 2 members of Caledonian Chargers left alive on the field. Padoria does get the kill onto Durf with the... Oh, look at that Wallaby coming in with the high charge and a Graviton Surge. Another ultimate charge, and that is going to be Underwatch just want to get these last few people as Cameron gets charged right off the point and killed in the middle of the shatter. They've just got to do this last tiny little bit of work to secure the final kills to capture this point. It's been a really, really valiant effort from Caledonian Chargers, but there's just too many of Underwatch left alive on the point, and they finally flip it. What a fight from Underwatch!
And you were saying, Phil, these 2 CP maps, they can be known for this. Underwatch, they come in with 6 ultimates. The only one that wasn't available, they got in a matter of seconds as soon as the point started. And then even with the extremely short spawn distance that you have at Caledonian Charge, it doesn't really matter, because Underwatch, they were winning those fights so decisively that the only thing you could see Caledonian try to do is just grasp at straws. They can't go for the big plays. They can't go for the Earth Shatters.
And additionally, Wallaby's trying to use that Graviton Surge as an opener in that fight. It gets eaten by Echoic, and they just press on ahead anyway, generate another one in that fight, and still manage to win out. So this is Underwatch looking terrifying, to be perfectly honest. I wouldn't want to play against these guys.
No. To be honest, Phil, like I sometimes imagine like a caster team just being like, yes, we're gonna band together, gonna give this a go, and then
Use
get absolutely smashed.
our superior knowledge of the look how well we can talk about this game. We must clearly be amazing. Nah, sorry guys.
No.
Hate to break the illusion. We're all terrible. That's why we talk about it rather than play.
Yeah, I've nothing to add to that, Phil. That's the truth right there.
Yeah.
And the Caledonian Chargers, the first game they were so decisive. The second game they lost, but it wasn't really in a matter where you'd say, you gotta feel bad about that one. But here, Underwatch, they take control of the game. It takes a while to ramp up, right? Because initially the gate is held very well, but once again, and I hate how we keep repeating ourselves, but that is the story of the game. As Cameron goes down, the rest of the team surely follows.
Completely. Underwatch know this, but again, let's not count them out. I have seen Hanamura maps go to 8-9 before a victory is declared. Caledonian Chargers may have just as good, if not better, an attacker, and let's see if they can pull it off.
And that's the big question here, as already Fire Strike's being eaten. No ill shot there for Jimbo. As this time, though, no holding at the gates.
Yeah,
Push
but
right through.
I like the strategy of using the natural... nice early kill, Jimbo finding the door in there, but I like the fact that they're using the sort of natural cover provided by those doors, and that was beautiful. Did you see the setup there? The boop coming in from Basoto launches Cameron into the air, fabrications, and Jimbo there just with the follow-up is going to completely knock him out of the fight. Underwatch take that very decisively.
Is this the same Underwatch?
Well, I mean...
Is it Phil?
We're locked away from them. We can't see what they're doing, so maybe this is a huge prank. Maybe they've swapped sides and we weren't told.
Because this is insane.
Yeah.
Like, this is incredibly dominant, and we're not underselling Caledonian Charge here. They're not out of the game by a long shot, but I am scared by how decisively Fire suddenly have gotten.
Yeah. There we go. Not able to find anything with that initial volley. Cameron again falling very quickly down to half health. The tracking and the focus on keeping Cameron permanently at low health, permanently with that Discord orb on them is so good. Cameron falling very, very low.
Once again!
First down in the fight once again. Underwatch, they've got this on lockdown. Then
And this
falling
is-
very low as well. And
this is
down out the fight.
This is the problem, though, Phil. As we were saying, Cameron, yes, he's able to, if he gets space, to go and, like you said, this time a Echoic at least, he gets to dictate his own pace, not get staggered. But it also means that now if he steps forward and he gets punished every single time like this, I don't know how they're going to make it work, because if Cameron doesn't get it going, we've already established this initially.
Well, there's the Graviton Surge, triggers fabrications, Transcendent, a huge bomb! Maya drops it right on their heads, triggers the self-destruct, and just deletes Caledonian Chargers and all their hopes and dreams. Echoic, not... That's unfortunate.
Not this time.
No, nice production there, little observation of the poor, mangled Diva pilot form. Unfortunate. And Cameron, key to that, used the Earth Shatter in that exchange. They haven't got that in this next fight. This has to be a huge Graviton from Ben if they want to do this. Underwatch, what are you guys doing? Playing all the way off the point.
I'm playing really defensively.
Yeah.
Kind of not sure about this decision. They're
just
going to give the ticks over.
Yeah.
The Earth Shatter is now available, and they might have been waiting for that.
Yeah, but even then, a Graviton Surge from Ben is going to shatter them. Whoa! Speaking of shatter, Jimbo comes in, puts pretty much all of Caledonian Chargers on the ground, but that's the D-Mech onto Maya. This has been a huge, huge misstep for Underwatch. I'd love to know what the line of reasoning was for that.
I gotta imagine they felt like they moved back just a little bit, and then by the point that the Caledonian Charge were in position, they just didn't have the time to try and go for it. To me, it didn't really feel like that, but you gotta imagine there's gonna be some comms there, but we spoke too soon.
Yeah, they managed to get a frag onto Ben at the end there, but at this point they're just...
Waste time.
Yeah, and a kill onto Hart. Maya is actually doing a lot there to help carry this team forward, but they have spent a lot of time off the clock, only 47 seconds left, 4 minutes 46, so they're already down in time bank for this next round. So nice set of staggers there. They are having to send Podorian back to recover somebody from spawn, though.
And the problem is, they have a couple of ultimates, so they can make use of that. But how easy Underwatch made this second point look, it's not actually that at all, because as we said, the spawn distance means that you need to fin a fight so decisively just to have a chance at getting an initial tick. and they jump on top of them.
Yeah, here they go, but the high ground position for Fabrications is absolutely huge in the fight. Echoic sends the self-destruct, not going to find anything. Shatter also not really connecting with anything, so that's 2 thrown in for Caledonian Chargers without a lot done. And there is the rally and the Transcendence. Ben getting very close to getting this. Another self-destruct thrown in by Mia, nothing coming to that, but Jimbo is now out of the fight, and we've seen how problematic that can be, because Cameron, he's got them all locked up, but he doesn't have the health to get in and swing. But Notan, however, his Squire, doing what they can. Jimbo, though, coming in with a double. Fabrications taking Echoic out of the fight, and it is just a high charge. Zarya and Reinhardt left on the point, and they managed to get the kill onto Jimbo with just those 2 players. This is the classic Rein-Zarya synergy that you're seeing in action there, but they're very close to having capped this. Oh no, it's very close indeed, but it's just not quite enough to get that final tick.
It just doesn't matter anymore, because I thought they were going to do so well, because they draw out every single defensive element from Underwatch, the Transcendence, the Shield Barrier, or the Sound Barrier, and then in the end, they go for the Graviton Surge. But an absolutely amazing charge from Jimbo means that a lot of sustain is taken out of the fight immediately. Now the Earth Shatter's available, and the Caledonian Chargers, they might still be able to get the point here. They only need a single tick.
Yeah. Jimbo down. We've got an aggressive sound barrier from Podorian. Shatter comes in straight into the ground, puts 4 down. Notan falling, Heart falling very, very low as well, and they fall, and Ben. So it's just the 3 left alone on the point. Down goes Cameron. Poor Podorian left alone in the fight. Echoic opting to take a dive there.
And what can you do? And like I said, is this really the same Underwatch? Because the mistakes we saw earlier, not being on the same page. Just fat fingering ultimates and just kind of throwing them away. Ultimates being eaten. Now Wallaby wasn't able to get off a single grab, but besides that, their fights have been looking so incredibly clean here. And if they can keep neutralizing these Earth Shatters from Cameron.
Oh, big Shatter though comes in fine too. Puts Maya and Wallaby on the ground, but the Transcendence and Fabrication bringing them right back in. Echoic once again taking Wallaby's Graviton Surge out of the fight. A nice high self-destruct, finds Heart and gets the DMEG onto Echoic. So we are about to see them come into stagger. Beautiful counter shatter from Jimbo. Nothing coming out of Cameron's, but he does get the kill with the shatter itself, which I feel like you don't see that often. It only does 50 damage. But 2 minutes left to go. They've already burnt 2 minutes off the clock for Caledonian Chargers. I really don't know what they can do, because they've only got that 1 ultimate left to play with.
And it's only your self-destruct, and self-destruct is one of those enabling ultimates where you can use it to create space. You can use it to find the opportunity for an Earth Shatter. If the Reinhardt lifts his shield, you can maybe look for and Graviton Surge, knowing that the enemy D.Va is going to try and block it, but instead, there's none of all that. Like you said, even with a Graviton Surge being eaten, they lost that fight, Phil.
Yeah, that's 2 fights won with an eaten Graviton Surge. Here we go, we're going to see if we can get anything out of that, but Cameron down already in the fight. It just feels like they cannot do enough to keep Cameron alive in the fight. Maybe we need to see something else from Caledonian Chargers, because this is another fight where Echoic has gone, right, well, do you know what, we've lost that, I'm going to go and jump off the edge in sheer frustration.
And Hard this time joins in, and normally getting joined by someone, a teammate, that's a nice occurrence, but in this case it really isn't. And you got to give credit to Underwatch here after a really shaky game 1. Fabrications as well, like I keep coming back to this because the first game he died first so many times. We've seen none of that anymore.
So this feeds into my pet theory that you cannot predict the outcome of a match based on what happens in King of the Hill, and this is exactly what we're seeing, because Caledonian Chargers look like they just cannot get a foothold
Smurfing,
in
Phil.
this. How do you smurf into a tournament like this when you've listed yourselves as Masters and Grandmasters? This is so Underwatch have gone away and they've done the work and they've done the practice and they've done the research. Caledonian Chargers, they came into this going, nah bruv, we're going to 3-0 this, and it's just not worked out for them. And I think this is what we're seeing, is just that lack of preparation. Cameron goes in first, gets Graviton surged from behind. We're going to see them move in and try and take Cameron out of the fight, but sadly that self-destruct was too high to really get anything out of it. Notan has the rally, going to use it to try and power through this last thing. Very close to getting a couple of kills there. Fabrications, though, using the Transcendence, and another shatter blocked. Cameron not able to find anything with that, and we've got Transcendence, we've got Sound Barrier, we've got everybody throwing every kill, every particle effect generating thing into the game, and Dove getting very close, but Maya isn't going to go down without a fight, taking Ben and the Graviton Surge out of the fight. Maya and Heart going down, but Maya gets the DMEG also. But we are in overtime now, so even if they do manage to cap this, it's going to be a really, really difficult time bank to come back from. is another self-destruct from Maya. Sorry,
That's
from
a big
Echoic.
one.
Gets 2, but Wallaby in there. No one to eat. Is Graviton Surge coming in with the high charge, with the right click.
That's
finds
it.
Echoic off the point, and we go 2-1 in the series with Underwatch in the lead.
And Underwatch, the first game, they look so shaky on King of the Hill, and then afterwards, as now finally the streak has been broken.
Somebody other than
That's
Cameron.
got to be that 4K, right?
It's got to be. This is huge. And I see if you can spot this in the setup. Oh, actually, no. Do you know what? It's not the one I thought it was, but just
Do you
boom.
see how he like props it up against the door?
I think it was like it was balanced on the character models. Like it was properly, just literally resting on their head. Who knew their necks were strong enough to support a self-destructing Diva mech?
Who would have thought? And Underwatch, we talked about them, and they were like, you know, maybe we're going to go for something cheesy. Maybe we're going to go. And I was always expecting from this series was we're going to see Caledonian Chargers go for goats,
Yeah.
and then we're going to see double snipe. We're going to see Hammonds. And we saw the Hammonds on map
Did.
1.
Yeah, and
it didn't
It
work.
didn't work.
And then Fabrications, they touted him as this player that, you know, he was kind of, it was their sub. He was going to make a lot of these setups in the team a lot more comfortable. And then in the first map, he looked really, really pressured, right? He was able to, or unable rather, to stay alive for a long time, constantly getting focused. And then in the second game, we start to see this turnaround where they go for goats, they go for standard, and they keep that up. And it is a victory for them, but it's definitely not close. Like we said, it came down to a final team fight. But then this, as a game number 3, where they honestly just completely outplay, they completely neutralize Cameron, and we keep coming back to that. If Cameron doesn't perform, what do you do?
Well, the thing is, it to me, it doesn't even feel like it's that Cameron isn't performing.
being
It's
shut
that
down.
He's not being given any sort of leeway at all. Underwatch just have like it's almost like an aimbot straight for Cameron. Boom, out of the fight just as quickly as that. And then once the main tank, once you haven't got a 2000 HP shield and a 600 HP hero with a hammer that cleaves through enemies, that's actually a huge part of your setup down and out, and it's easy to beat on the back of that.
It really is, and I want to see Caledonian Chargers take this next on, as we're going to be going to Hollywood. And this is a map where I want to say it feels to me like we've already seen crazy composition from Underwatch, but if their GOAT remains as good as it was here, it might not even be necessary now. I feel like best of 5, especially in Overwatch, go in a kind of a back and forth manner where one team adapts to the other, and now it's up to the Caledonian Chargers that they show. Even when every single point of focus is on Cameron, he's getting discorded, he's getting targeted, they're doing these setups, like you said, the boop into the hammer, into the charge. All the CC that they can throw them to take him down and just work from there. They need to find a way around it, they need to find a way to adapt him, to punish him for that, because if they don't, I don't know how as Underwatch... Oh, sorry. I don't know what that was your button.
That's my button. That's
no.
my NUEL button. It's okay, guys. I am still at the NUEL. The button
still
wasn't
there.
the thing that dictated where I am, so we're still here. It's fine.
That's good. Thank you for clarifying that. I was getting a little bit worried,
I'm here to keep people safe and happy. That's my job.
like space and time.
Yeah.
Because honestly, this is kind of Galaxy-esque. If I'm perfectly honest, I don't know if you can see this lovely artwork right here. So in the Rebel Gaming Sphere here in London. Yeah. But Phil, it's 2-1. Are we going to see 5 games?
It can happen. I mean, the Caledonian Chargers, despite the fact that they have been pretty heavily focused, or Cameron in particular has been very heavily focused, they're not a terrible team by any stretch of the imagination. All the bits are there. They just need to, I don't know, spend a little bit more time maybe trying to rein Cameron in a little bit, focus all of that resource on keeping him alive. Like, that's got to be the #1 focus. And if they do that, then they absolutely can take this map, and we will go to a map 5. But at the minute, we're at match point. If Underwatch take this, that's it. We are done for the series, and it will be Underwatch going off to the States.
Phil, there's something behind your ear.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry. There you go.
Oh,
It's your button.
he's a magician. Who knew?
Yeah. Who would have thought? I didn't know.
Yeah, it's a Dutch wizard in the casting booth. I'm going to put that on later. Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah.
We're going to go into the game. It might be the final game, but I'm hoping we go to game 5 here, because both these teams have been showing us absolutely great performance here, Phil. And it's the grand finals of the NUEL. We've had so many competitions. We've had so many casts, so many teams try and duke it out. And in the very end, it's these two. And we talk about Underwatch as a team that you want to see a lot of unorthodox strategy out of, but
Caledonian Chargers
We've
showing
seen this,
something
Phil.
spicy. I mean, this is a sort of thing that is set up to work for very high level teams in Overwatch. These damage dealers with just the wrecking ball coming in. What is happening here? Caledonian Chargers. What are they showing here? Here we go. Here we go. They were just fooling with us.
But that's like 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's a lot of time burnt off the clock for a bit of memery.
That was very confusing to me, Phil.
Yeah, I was like, how do we talk about this team comp?
Now Jimbo already is up 40% to Cameron's 9.
Yeah, this is a really, really dangerous position to be in. You don't want to give over that early ult charge if you can help it at all. But Fabrications, watch Fabrications aim, and the prediction on these shots is absolutely fantastic. And the damage is coming in thick and fast. People falling very, very low. Jimbo gets stunned, and we've seen you do not want to lose your main tank. Oh, falling very, very, very low there. But again, that keep Reinhardt alive juice coming in from Durf keeps Reinhardt alive, and Jimbo is at 85% to this ultimate. We are going to stay on board with Jimbo, but he's being so heavily pressured. Caledonian Charger taking the measure. Jimbo, 99% of this ultimate, has got it, and we've got the Transcendence alive as well. Shatter comes down, and it's huge, and it puts 4 on the floor. Down goes Ben, down goes Cameron. Caledonian Chargers in a full-on rout away from Underwatch.
And it was so close that it was on the edge of a razor, as we saw Jimbo trying to hit through the wall. He just wants to get the ult shot, but he was so low every single time he steps forward, almost gets taken down again.
But we did see a bit of a stagger there coming in from Caledonian Chargers, who are across the board not quite at the ultimates. They need to keep this alive. Cameron still doesn't have this Earth Shadow. We haven't got the self-destruct yet. We're close, but we're not there. In this next fight, watch for those ultimates because they are going to be key. But look how much damage Cameron takes in these fights. And they're using the sound barrier aggressively to get in and try and get something done. But a shatter comes, so Graviton Surge comes in, but Jimbo gets the kill, taking Notan out of the fight. But everybody throwing all those Q buttons in there. But once everything is out of the way, that is going to be Underwatch once more, blasting Caledonian Chargers off the point, and Caledonian Chargers coming back into this next fight with 0 ultimates.
Underwatch is just reading him like a book, because every single Earth Shatter that Cameron tries to throw, it gets preemptively dodged away from. They know that he's looking for these big plays. They know that Underwatch, or the Caledonian Charger rather, need to find him, but they're just not able to do so consistently, as now the Earth Shatter's available. Fabrications have been staying alive for so long.
Oh,
Cameron down again!
Down, and the Earth Shatter comes in, and it's big, and Jimbo just gets to wade in with the hammer and make everybody into a pancake.
What's happening, Phil? It's 1:30 minutes left on the clock. The Caledonian Chargers, that they can't even get a first tick here on the first point. I don't think they're going to go to Game 5, and they look routed, and now is the moment where I want to see them band together. I want to see them try something different, or I just want to see them get through it. Cameron needs to find the big Earth Shatter. The switch comes through there, but it goes back after all, and Caledonian Chargers just look lost.
Yeah, look, the story here is all about preparation. Caledonian Chargers came in so confident that they were the best GOAT team in the tournament, and they've just been proven wrong. And because they haven't done the prep work, there just isn't anything there to counter what Underwatch are doing. That Graviton Surge and a self-destruct. They do lose 2 in that fight. They lose Jimbo, which is key to this, but they may have just done enough there with the self-destruct, getting the DMAC, getting Notan very low. Notan on the point, hasn't got anywhere to hide with the Discord up. 40 seconds left for Caledonian Chargers, and honestly I don't know what they can do here. They've got to be so quick, and they've got to be so decisive.
It's only the rally available. Cameron, now he does almost have the Earth Shatter, and that's going to be huge. He needs to find a person here, but Fabrications, he's been holding on to the Transcendence for so long. His positioning has been so good ever since the first game. It's all now or nothing for the Caledonian Chargers. The rally comes down.
Yeah, and we are about to get a Graviton Surge as well if this doesn't get eaten. There is the Shatter. I don't know why that Graviton Surge was thrown in over the top, but they take Fabrications out of the fight. That is going to be it. Caledonian Chargers finally with 6 seconds left on the clock, get the team kill and capture point A, but boy, they were made to work for that.
That was way too close to comfort field. That is not the way that you want to take this game, as the entirety of Underwatch now makes their way back from the spawn and the regroup. But the time bank here, no matter what happens next, is already going to be so far diminished due to the amazing holder on the first point. I'm loving the tricky situation that Wallaby finds himself in, as the sound barrier again used offensively.
Padadorian throws in the sound barrier. That is the foot to the floor for Caledonian Chargers to get in and start doing that. But they sort of give up, and Wallaby takes Ben out of the fight. It's the Shatter takes Cameron out of the fight once again, and Caledonian Chargers just can't catch a break.
And these are the mistakes that we haven't seen him make thus far, like using those ultimates in a way. I think it was only one on the time where you're using those like I don't think that this is the right situation for it. They've been so on point with it, able to find them in those fights, but now use a sound barrier and just completely whiff it. You can't afford to, especially when Underwatch is so far ahead of you in terms of ult economy. Now Cameron, these Earth Shatters, we keep coming back to them because he needs to hit one of them every now and then, but they seem to be ready for it at every single point in time.
Well, there's a Graviton Surge, locking them all up against the wall. Self-destruct comes in as well. There's the boop. Fantastic. Sets it up. Cameron and Budorian send right into the path of that, and Notan just gave up at the end there, stood still and went, okay guys, just let me know. Just kill me. Send me back to spawn. I don't care anymore.
Caledonian Charge, like I said, they just look lost to me here. They look defeated. Only 2 ultimates have to be expended there by Underwatch. They still have so much available. They can just use the rally and then use one of the defensive ultimates to try and pull through here. 60 seconds are left on the clock.
Yeah, you know, you don't want to, as a caster, try and paint too much of a negative picture, but we are definitely seeing here the fact that Caledonian Chargers were too cocky coming into this. They didn't respect Underwatch, and Underwatch are absolutely taken to task for it.
And it's the pressure as well. It's all or nothing here.
So we have seen a Width Shatter finally coming out from Jimbo. Went right into the shield, but Maya takes the Graviton Surge out of the fight, and the kills start to come in. The self-destruct not able to find anything. Cameron goes down. Notan goes down. 30 seconds left on the clock, and you have got an angry Underwatch chasing you right the way back to spawn, because they know they've got this Transcendence in the pocket. They can have this fight wherever they want, and there's not a huge amount that Caledonian Chargers can do to kill them. and
if you're just tuning in, the NUEL Live Finals, you're looking, how did the Caledonian Charge even win the first game?
Yeah.
And they did so decisively that Goats versus Goats was looking absolutely incredible. But the adaptation from Underwatch has been absolutely insane, and now the rally comes through, but there's no offensive ultimate available besides that.
No, but this is it. This is when you're in overtime. Everybody starts to press Q at the same time, but look at this. Jimbo has the Earth Shatter ready to go, and they've been so good at connecting these. They've only with one that we've seen so far. It's big. It puts Heart and Echoic on the ground, but Budorian comes steaming back in with the Sand Barrier to keep them alive, but we've got the Transcendence. We've got the Self-Destruct taking Budorian out of the fight. We are in 5v6. Shatter comes out from Cameron, sadly not able to find anything of value, and down goes Cameron. Notan, Heart. We are done here, folks. Put one on the board for Caledonian Chargers, because that's all they've got in this fight, so they have to have a monster hold to take us to a map 5.
And the best stories come when a team is faced with such adversity as we see here. The Caledonian Chargers, after a great game 1, a great game 2, in game 3 they kind of stumbled, but in game 4 here, that looks like there's absolutely nothing they can do. At every single opportunity they try to go for, either Cameron gets punished or he doesn't find the play. And then we see some highlight individual moments as Echoic once again so on the ball with eating his ultimates. But the one thing for me that is so impressive for Underwatch is, at the beginning of the day, they didn't look like a team that was on the same page. We saw miscommunications. We saw ultimates being used when they shouldn't be. We saw fabrication stepping too far forward. We saw that they weren't really able to consistently find anyone as we take a nice look at
I've never noticed that bit of artwork.
I have not, and it is actually amazing.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Thank you, Observer.
Yeah, thanks, Observes.
That is like DJ Lucio in full action. That's really cool.
Yeah. I wonder, can you stand on that platform? I don't think it'll do you any good, but
yeah,
I
reckon you could.
The observer is checking out the angle, so as you could just about reach that balcony there if you can stand on it, but it's a niche strat.
It is. Yeah. And now the defense, like you say, faced with adversity, Caledonian Chargers, if they want to keep themselves alive, they want to win that trip to the Overwatch League, the VIP experience, you've got to stay in it here.
Yeah, this, as we were saying, it needs to be a really phenomenally good hold. It needs
to be so miracle hold.
Yeah. Basoto was showing that Doomfist, sadly not cocky enough to run the Doomfist rather than the Lucio. Just going to go for the straight Zenyatta Goats.
Why would you?
Yeah, exactly.
After the last round, why would you?
With what's on the line, why would
you?
No.
Don't get me that, Phil. They're not gonna throw it now. I thought that they might. But
no, we did ask for a map 5, so Cameron very aggressive there. Does find fabrications in the fight, which is exactly the opening you wanted. Gets Jimbo and the roll. There we go. That's what we were expecting from Caledonian Chargers, and they do chase to secure those final kills.
In terms of the old economy, it's not really the Reinhardt. It's more about. Overall, they will be able to do a lot more damage, and defensive ultimates for them will come through a lot earlier now than for Underwatch. So Underwatch now faced with the task to kind of somehow find a way to either find a pick or make sure that you draw out 1 or 2 ultimates too many and then get a follow-up fight. Because don't be mistaken, there's actually a lot of pressure on them as well here because they know how close they are, but that makes it even worse if you're actually the person who has to make it through. Because here for us, we can just look at it like, they got these ultimates, they got this. For Chargers and for Underwatch, it's all or nothing.
Yeah, but at this point, Underwatch can afford to take the time a little bit, generate some ultimates, and come and try and get that win on the back of a couple of quick ultimate kills. But they've got the DMAC as a nice start. They can kind of afford just to go in and do what they want, as Underwatch go for a rotation through Cafe, which is not a rotation you see particularly commonly, especially when you haven't got a mech for Mia at the minute. The fact they're still committing to this, I think, is interesting. Maybe they're just hoping
they
they
have the high ground now, though.
Yeah, they have the high ground, Anakin. They're ready to take this if they can. They just need to wait and get Mia into a position to have that mech back. And they are playing very, very passively here. Wallaby stepping forward to build that charge on the primary fire on the right click.
It's a really interesting strategy here.
Yeah, yeah. It's but Mia is struggling to get the kills that the damage they need to actually get this. But oh wait, no, sorry, they have managed to get the DMEC. So we're in a really, really good position here. 2 tank ultimates, 2 defensive ultimates. We've already got the rally ready to go. Wallaby gets the Graviton Surge into position, but the Shatter coming. No, the Graviton Surge gets eaten. Ben's Graviton Surge taken out. Here's another self-destruct. Nothing coming out of any of these ults, but there we go. We've seen it happen time and time again. Cameron falls down, and everything else crumbles into dust like so much dry cracker bread around them.
I don't even know if they can hold, because the next point is so close by, Phil.
Yeah, and look, we can see people going up already just to try and force this team fight to happen as far forward as possible. This is a really, really desperate situation for Caledonian Chargers. They are just about to lose point A. They've got to get in, and they've got to get in now, and it's got to be big, it's got to be powerful, it's got to be decisive.
There's no ultimates available for them. It's 4 minutes. Cameron once again got taken down. The Discord orb will never cease to be put on top of him. Sodi gets taken real low. 4 minutes left on the clock as Underwatch only need to win a single team fight here.
Yeah, just this one team fight, so we've got to watch for the first kill. And you've got to assume, because they have been so good about focusing, it is going to be Cameron. Watch out for that kill coming out in the team fight. But honestly, at this point, anybody going down is big. Fabrications has a Transcendence ready to go. Notan has the rally. And actually, Underwatch giving a little bit of respect to Caledonian Chargers, backing off, giving them the space, waiting for that rally to waiting for the rally to end so they can come back in and do that uncontested, because they've got a Graviton Surge, they've got a Transcendence, they've got a rally. The Transcendence is good. The Graviton Surge is even better. Self-destruct.
Mia fights 2!
Cameron down, and the DMEC, and the pilot form Diva. That's going to be Underwatch getting the final member of Caledonian Chargers and rolling that payload forward. At this point, there is nothing Caledonian Chargers can do. Anticlimactic as it is, let's just watch that payload roll into the golden box of victory. And Underwatch, your NUEL 2019 Spring Split Champions. Who's got play of the game this time? Is it going to be Cameron?
Oh boy.
Is it going to be Cameron?
It's
Jimbo this
and
time.
That's about as full up as circle as you can go. It starts off with 2 play of the games for Cameron, and then Mia finds it, and now it's Jimbo, and it's the final game.
It's the final moment, really. You've got to love the symmetry of that. What a comeback from having been so heavily bodied in that first round to, you know, coming away as champions. They've got to feel so good about that. And honestly, what a fantastic performance from both of our teams.
I definitely agree with you there. And I want to talk to Underwatch, because what I'm wondering about is, we were promised zany strategies. We didn't get that, but instead we got a masterclass in adapting to your opponent's playstyle. Because in the end, we propped it up at the end. It's all about Cameron. Both teams knew that going in. The team of GCU said, we have a really good team, but our linchpin is Cameron. If he can make the plays, the rest of the team is really good at following up. Yeah. But if he doesn't, if he gets taken out, it's a problem. And on the other hand, Underwatch knew, if we take down Cameron, that's going to be it. And the first 2 games, Cameron was just able to, even with the amount of pressure on him, even with the amount of focus, always find the kills, always get the plays. But then as he started to get shutting down, it does seem like in the end, Underwatch are able. And the last game, like I think the 3rd game was still kind of, there was some moments there, but the last game just looked insanely one-sided. And going from Lijiang to Hollywood in such a sport, that's insane.
Yeah, yeah, it's been. Again, I think I've said a couple of times now, I don't like to predict matches on the back of the King of the Hill result, because it really can go either way, and exactly what we saw here. But I think for me, the real story of what's gone on here is that Caledonian Chargers came into this, and right from the get-go, they've said to us, yeah, we're gonna 3-0 our opponents.
They're both said.
No problem, 3-0. We didn't even bother practicing. We'll just over and done. And that didn't work out for them here because Underwatch, they went away, they did the reading, they did the research, they did the essays, they did the practice exams, and when it came time to the final exam of the season, they were able to walk away with that A++ grade, which is, of course, the NUEL 2019 Overwatch champions. And they've won themselves that fantastic VIP trip to LA to go and see the Overwatch League live.
Just escaped exams and university feel. I don't know why you're throwing me back into the hellhole. It's not very friendly of you, but as you say,
it's so long ago for me that I can no longer really.
It doesn't hit you anymore.
No, it
doesn't.
It's all done and dusted. But that is going to be all that we have for our Overwatch fans today. We're going to throw to a very short break, but please don't go too far.
Will be open to these threats. The hook gets broken off. Jealous will escape, but Sinner, an even bigger threat so far on this Roadhog. J7 doing J7 things on this Lucio.
Unbelievable. J7 staying alive for such
He returns. They really need to be careful. The engage comes in. They take down Golden Fish. The Graviton, however, is going to pair perfectly with Reese. They are a hack on. Wolverine could be a big opportunity. That's a huge shatter here from DJ Dominic. But where's the follow-up? They do take down Nicolausa. They
Lockstep, Nia gets their Transcendence online first. Underwatch in a very strong position here. Yeet have got to come in with something big. They finally got the Graviton Surge, but Jimbo with the hungry.
8% ult charge now, but they just don't get on the point. And Chargers managed to win.
All the picks were in favor of Yeet. All the damage was in favor of Yeet. They had people online near the point, but they step off for just a second. And not even that, the half second is all the overtime NUEL needs to burn down. And Chargers secure a 3-0 win over Yeet.
Hi, I'm joined by Wallaby from Underwatch of York University after just winning 3-1 against GCU here in the finals. Now, if we take a look at the spring finals, which was also against GCU, in that match, the King of the Hill maps are really where you shined. You won those three, but you lost the other ones. Now coming into this, you lost the first map as the King of the Hill, and then just dominated the rest of them. What was the adaptation to reach this point?
I think the problem was when we were warming up before the game, we realised only when we were in the lobby that we all were playing with mouse excel on, and well, our Zen, he's a really good player, but at the beginning he was getting hit by all the fast rights when we were playing hybrid versions of Goat, so we needed Maya on the Diva. And his goal was to eat all of the fast rights and lots of bench grabs, which I think he did pretty successfully.
He played it phenomenally, I will say. Now, are there any other of your teammates that you want to commend for their play here? I mean, there were so many amazing plays. It's a bit difficult, but does anyone stand out for you?
I would commend Jimbo.
Absolutely.
We were really worried because Cameron is a really, really, really good player. But in the last, I think 3 maps where Jimbo completely dumpstered him. We knew when he was going for shadows. He had no shield. Jimbo was winning the shield war, and he couldn't do anything. Jimbo was shadowing his team. Cameron got like a few shadows through, but I think it was pretty one-sided. But then again, Cameron doesn't really have a very good team backing them up.
Ooh, I mean, there was a clear strategy today, I would say, which was focus Rhine, or as more clearly heard by everyone in the room over there, Rhine at the top of your voice.
Yes.
I have genuinely never heard a player as loud as you before at LAN. Like, you just getting all the excitement out there.
Yeah, I felt that the only way we were going to win is if we had lots of hype.
Give it your all.
Maybe if I scream loud enough, the other players can hear me, and they can understand that they're inferior to us in every form of Ghost.
Yeah, absolutely. So, are there any final words you'd like to give to the audience, to your parents?
I'd like to shout out my mum and dad who came to watch the final 2 games of the series, and I think they now understand why I was because I was at home from uni during the spring finals, and they were wondering why I was so loud. But I hope they understand why I was so loud then and now.
Well, we've got the trophy for you.
Ooh.
If Curio wants to hand it.
Congratulations on becoming the Overwatch
Thank you.
Splash champions.
Thank you.
As a shiny trophy.
Yeah. we hope to win 2020 as well.
2020 is already with the confident words.
Yeah,
okay.
well, yeah.
Well, I
we're a good
believe
team.
we're finished now. So we're now going to throw it to a bit of a long break, but we will come back for Hearthstone Campus Clash. So we'll see you then.
Yeah, thank you.